Good morning, everybody. It's Marty the JavaScript Party. It is Friday, the 8th, 8 8 2025. Yesterday, my granddaughter was born at 1 a.m. That was my first grandchild. This is very, very fun, cool thing. I'm a little tired, but all's well. Couldn't bring Rhett in today because we are currently watching our my son and daughter-in-law's dogs, and they're a little bit hyper, so I didn't feel comfortable sort of transporting her with them. Um, but yeah, so everything's great though. Um, I think the last video, it feels like forever ago because I missed two of them. Um, but it feels like forever ago. But I believe what we had accomplished is we were able to add some visualizations, move over here, yeah, and we have this update, and then we have this where it goes to this and it shows that right now. I think right now without this is out of date, right? This should be basically showing you what the current icon is, and then it also has links. So getting that fixed is going to be a bit tricky. Um, but this, it was a pretty big accomplishment. I really honestly can't believe it happened so quickly. I actually have another project that I'm working on, a media uploader, and I'm just in like the way the routing is working just is goofy as heck. Now, one thing about that one is it tries to if the application hasn't been initialized, it tries to automatically reroute you. And I used guards for that, and I'm starting to think guards um, aren't the correct way to handle when you want the entire application to go to a certain place no matter what, as opposed to if you want to guard a page from, that you can't get to it until certain things have been accomplished or whatever. um, but here, I guess since we're using the routing and we don't really have any guards and all that, it went so smooth. So I was like, okay, this is a good time to do a commit, right? Because like this new thing, because I do think that this code, and the other thing is I do want to sort of capture this change in its own commit, because I think it is a core sort of like idea of like this will probably just keep on growing. um, and yeah, so anyways, so that's where we're at, and I'm going to, so I need to run unit tests because before I do a commit I want all unit tests and all to pass. And since it's just this sort of limited, it's very limited where the changes have been, I'll probably like run the unit test for that change specifically. So we probably have our routes unit test, um, and then we probably have a tabular layout unit test. I know we have that, so I'll run that one on its own, and then this new one, which that doesn't do anything, so it should be good already. So mtm run test. This always takes a little bit. Man, it has been like no sleep the last couple of days, just because we were at the hospital and then we came home, and then uh, got phone calls all through the night, um, just updates on what was happening, and then up early in to see the baby. I managed to be able to work all my hours, mostly because, well, one, the hospital had a really nice quiet area to work in, where so that worked out really well. So I was able on Wednesday I was able to work, and then we're still waiting on these unit tests to get done. And then on Thursday, I did some work. I started work a little early, then uh, basically went for early lunch to go visit little Ella, Ella Jean Renee, is her name. She was 20 inches and what is it? Was it 7.7 ounces? So she was a tiny little baby. So cute. Let's see. Here we go. See if all our unit tests still pass. I would be surprised if any of them are failing, but it wouldn't be the most shocking thing. All right, so, but we did, in fact, lose um, coverage. So we're at 99.63, so there's two statements not being covered. For once, branches are all covered, and then there is one function that isn't being covered, and there's two lines that aren't being covered. So the next step is, and this is sort of a process that we've developed on this project over time. There's really, in a lot of things, there's really no exact right way to do it. And most organizations sort of come up with their own way. Oddly enough, most organizations then think that their way is the only way, and then can't understand why they can't find everyone they interview isn't. So it looks like we're at all hundreds except for this guy, the tabular layout. So let's click in there. Yep, so there's two statements not being called. So, and then one function, one of the four functions not being called. And we do have all the branches being called. So basically, hopefully it wouldn't even matter, but in all likelihood, there's a function in here. Hopefully it returns something, just so it makes the testing look a little better. So yes, and it always returns true. So we're expecting true back. Basically, all this does is change the navigation. I do not have any intention of writing unit tests to see that router.navigate works properly. So basically, this unit test is only going to be there to offer coverage, and that is it. So we want to go to app tabular layout. Let me just try typing that into. I don't know why I've never. Yeah, app tabular layout component spec. And then we want to focus on this. So I believe in this we can actually say F describe and it'll do that. Now I don't know. We'll know that it actually listened and did the update by the percentage of, but it doesn't look like it ever actually ran. This says executed 89 of 89. So I don't think this is doing what I wanted it. Let me try hitting refresh over here. What we want to see is just like one of these. Like, yeah, okay, yeah. So now it's just running this one. It's just running this one unit test, which I believe is the right unit test. So if I go back to alls, let's see, app tabular layout. That's this guy. Yep. So this looks like it's the one that's running. So I mean, this is a very nice, simple function because it doesn't do a whole lot. We probably could have actually somehow done this straight in the template, but I suspect we're at some point going to want to go get a renderer item and then mark it as editing or something. Like who knows? I can imagine scenarios where we need this. So, um, and a lot of times when you're in the, it's like your mindset, right? Like when you've all seen it, when I'm like coding and trying to fix things, it's just sort of a stream of consciousness, right? You're just like coding and you're just like, you're only fixated on fixing the problem or implementing the solution. But when you're like in this mode, then you're thinking about architecture and stuff. Well, when I'm in that, oh, I got to figure out how to get something done, I want this to already exist. I wanted the previous me that was in architecture mode and what we're going to need and how it's going to need to work and all that. Because in a lot of ways, this is kind of a waste. Um, it would be better just to handle this in the navigation. The problem is I'm 99% sure we're going to want to do something, some logic, and this may very well be the place, or at the very least, will be the place to call the place that does that logic. You know, um, maybe there's just a million things we might want to do, but I'm just gonna say should edit a render. So it doesn't even really do anything except for the routing, but like I said, I feel like if we do any checking to see that it actually navigated and stuff like that, at that point we are writing unit tests of the renderer and the router, not of our code that we're maintaining. Um, equals component dot edit 1. So it won't even matter. We're just using, let's see, const. ID. And I guess we don't even we want that to be a constant too. And then expect. Well, let's just see if we go to 100%, and then we'll have like one warning that something had a test. Okay. Okay, so now we have 100% there. We do have this warning here. It says app has no expectation. So we're just going to say expect edit to be true. And I do think that like I'm sort of coding, I don't know, man. So I think this is kind of code that a lot of times a lot of people wouldn't be thrilled with. Um, because they're just like, oh, this is doing nothing. And I totally get that. I get what they're saying. Because you don't want to be maintaining code that does nothing, that effectively does nothing. And that is kind of where we're at here. The problem is that right now I have a full grasp of exactly how all these pieces are connected together. In the future, when I'm in pure fix mode or in some other mode, I may not be in the mindset to think, okay, I need to make a function and do this and do that. So I'm sort of setting my future self up for success. But a lot of places, especially if there's a ton of different people working on it, I guess you wouldn't want all 20 people setting themselves up for success in the future, where you end up with a ton of functions that are doing nothing. Or, yeah. So I guess this is maybe one of those things that's kind of a good idea to do when you're a lone developer, but maybe not a great idea to do if you're working with a team of developers. Um, So that's something to think about. All right, so I think if we get rid of the focus, the little F on the front, um, then we'll go back to 100, testing everything, and then we should be at 100%. Now, I do also want to focus on, I guess, app routes. Looks like that's the only other place that we made any changes. App routes, see, app update is the new one, but literally it doesn't do anything. So that one really doesn't need to be looked at this point. But whatever our app routes, if that has a unit test, we probably need to run that one. So we are at perfect 100%. So now I'm going to go to routes. I kind of take this long way around. I clicked here in this get thing, and now I'm going to click on the open file. And then I'm going to go back over here so I can see if there's a... See, app routes doesn't even have a spec. I mean, it's like all this is all, there's no, like, if this file gets run at all, it's 100% covered, because all it's doing is assignments and pushing. There's no code that does any like logic or anything in here. It is wild though that I don't have an app routes spec. App.routes. Yeah, there's no app.routes.spec. I feel like that's fine. I mean, if you're working in a professional environment, you probably have to have a spec for app routes. I don't know how I ended up without a spec for this one. I'm guessing because I'm pretty sure that this is how the Angular team put it together. Yeah, this is one of those tough ones. I probably will just leave it. Because literally, like, there's no logic in here. But if in the future, so this is kind of the opposite argument, and maybe it's just because it's not already done, but in the future, we may end up adding some logic in this routes. I don't know what kind of logic you'd ever add. Maybe, yeah, this is probably where you would possibly do like let's say only certain people can see certain routes or something like that. You might put that logic in here. I don't know. But anyways, that looks like that is done. Let's see. Now I guess, let's see, it's 8:12, so I still have plenty of time. I guess it makes sense to at least begin the end-to-end testing. Control C. It's kind of funny because I kind of forgot that I was doing all of this. Like when I was thinking about this project, I had forgotten that I was doing all of this unit test stuff and end-to-end tests, and I was thinking, oh man, it'd be cool if I could have the whole visualization drawn by Friday, right? But then, of course, I couldn't work didn't do anything on this last couple of days because of my baby, my granddaughter Ella Jean Renee, and then but I don't think I would have got here because I don't think I would this because I'm going to end up spending some time on getting this icon to work right and all that. So yeah, this visualization is a while away. Everything's just taking a lot slower because of the process. It's just taking a lot longer. But anyway, so npm run, and it is Cypress : open. I just can't even believe. Well, see, the thing about modern software development is you just have to be able to like work for a little bit, stop, and then pick up that work again in the future. That was sort of not a thing. That's why like no one would get any sleep, because you wanted to keep that stream of consciousness coding like going as long as possible, so you didn't want to stop. But now we're we that it's super important, and where most places have like a bunch of different projects that they have working, and they don't really have enough developers to just focus on one project. So that means that you have to shift back and forth between projects like crazy. And I think that's just become a very normal part of software development now. And man, Cypress is such an important, or such a useful tool in that situation, because like it locks down how this thing worked. Like the last time, oh, I haven't looked at this in 3 months. Let me run my Cypress test. Oh, okay, that's how we set that up. Oh, okay. I just think it was just easier. I mean, it just fills in a gap that is a new gap that I think is not like something that was around, not an issue that was around, 10 years ago. Now it's just like companies have tons of projects and they've got very few developers. And again, they've all gotten back to where, so you got a few people trying to maintain 20 different sites. You made it one of 20 different applications. You might go a month, you might go 6 months without looking at it. You get an assignment, it's open, now you're refocused on something else, and then you're going to have to circle back. Okay, so that is working. So basically I'm just blindly clicking through the unit tests, or the end-to-end tests that we have. Just making sure nothing broke. I can't imagine this breaking anything. Oh, I don't think resize was done yet. Okay, I don't think I actually ran resize all the way through. But honestly, like even if I had all these sort of steps written down on pieces of paper, it would take me 20 minutes probably to get through all of this testing that I literally am just clicking in. So that's why we do not have it. Oh no. I think it failed. So we did break the delete. Fascinating. Okay, so the routing passed. Let's go back to delete. So this is the error where it says too many elements found 6, expected 3. Interesting. Okay, so delete is breaking. So I guess this is a new novel experience for me. So I don't know exactly the best way to sort of go about uh, the debugging process at this point. Like I've never tried to debug in this sort of situation before. So I'm sort of just making this up as I go, but I think the first step would be to go through and just start commenting out pieces of this code, of this delete test, until we find the issue. And so let's go look in delete and see what that's all about. But yeah, it looks like we actually broke something. I don't know, did we? Let's see. Oh, we're in the update. What happens if I click this? Okay. So yeah, so we didn't break delete completely. We do not need this anymore. We didn't break delete completely, but something is wrong. Something that we were expecting to happen is not happening now. So I'm just going to go to my delete. Like I said, I don't really know exactly what the best way to go about what I'm trying to do is, but basically I'm just trying to find out what happened. What is going on. I don't really quite understand what's going on. Um, so, and then this, I like to have this set up a certain way. And I guess that is not the way for this situation. Um, what was it? Dot only? Thought that was how you did that, to tell it to. Okay, so it's running this one. It looks like it's doing exactly what I wanted. I thought for the first time, I actually want to be able to see this side is the side that I care about, not so much the. Let's see. I really just want to see if it's red. So let's make this smaller. See if we can get to where we can just see a little bit of red over there. Okay. So basically, so let's see. Do we have a problem in the first test? Kind of looks like it. Yep. Okay. So we had a problem in the first test because we saw the yellow. I think all we're running is the first one. I hope. So to me, it seems like what we'd want to do is go from line 7. And it's good to kind of think this out loud to yourself. Line 7 to line 59. And just comment it up and see if we still have a red. I don't expect a red. So it looks like everything went well. See, all we got was the green. All right, so now let's go with this. So yeah, it looks like it's broken. Whatever it's expecting is broken even on the default. I wonder what that little eyeball thing. Element is not visible. Element is not visible. Interesting. All right. Oh, we'll definitely keep that on. So this adds our 3 buttons, our 3 visualizations. Okay. So no red, still no red. This clicks on the body, and it's basically to close the menu. I don't think it clicked on the body. Oh yeah, the menu's gone. That's funny. All right, this opens the layout menu. Okay. All this does is assign a variable, so I'm going to assume that is good. And then this gets the delete button, and we're expecting to have 3 of them. And then it finds the one where it's equal to 1, which is probably the middle, and then it clicks it. So let's see if that worked. If that doesn't work, that's a problem because we were able to. Yeah, it's not working. Okay. All right, so it's probably, what did it say? It said expected 3. Oh, the buttons. So the buttons are, it's trying to select the delete buttons, but instead, I guess the selector is on button, and now there's 3 more buttons instead of that. Oh, so, and then my guess is that I made this guy have that CY delete viz button because I'm selecting on its um, selector only, but that's specific for the delete viz. This should be like update viz button would be my guess. Is so I'm guessing. Okay, this is a guess, absolute guess. I'm guessing that I named this one delete viz button too. That's my guess. I will see if I'm right. Um, and what I'm going to do is go like this, search on delete viz button, and note that my edit and my both have delete. So that was a good catch. Good catch. End-to-end testing. I mean, it didn't break anything, but so I feel like I should call it. It's I hate how I call it update here, but it's add or edit. You know that, but I think because I wanted to stay consistent with the name, update this button. That was an interesting experience. Let's see, did it compile? Yes, it did compile. All right, so let's try rerunning this. All right. So now that is working. So what this little back button here, let's just undo the rest of this. That was a good catch. I'm glad it got caught. And it just goes to show that like just because it doesn't actually break the usability for a human being to click, like a human would never know to even look at something like that, to look to see, okay, did they name this something that they were only supposed to name something else, you know. All right, so I think we're good. All right. So yeah, that was a bug that was caused because I copied and pasted code, and then there was an attribute that was specific for a specific situation, and I didn't update that attribute. Um, and I would say that now, now that I sort of ran into that and had a little bit of time to sort of just really think about that and focus on that, that may be one of the most common things I see, bugs I see in code in the enterprise. Because in their enterprise, copying existing code, existing out examples, and then or like if you find something that does something like what you want, it's so much better to just copy that existing one and redo it, because the learning curve for new developers goes way down when you do that. But one of the bad side effects is a lot of times there's something that's just very specific for um, this. Like this was only supposed to be for the delete button. It wasn't supposed to be for the update. Um, and so um, the, like it didn't break anything. Like a person, when you click it, would be like, oh, okay, that's fine. It's working for me. But it did assign something to something that was misleading. So anyone who was just looking at this one button may very well think, oh, it must be a delete viz, or edit stands for any kind of editing, deleting, updating, whatever, it was just like will give someone could potentially give someone a misconception in the future, which that is, you get sometimes you open some of these enterprise applications, and there'll be like hundreds. Everything you look at has where 90% of it is just noise. It's not useful information, but you have to analyze it all. So it's like, oh yeah, they copied this and then they added what they needed and they just left the other one because it wasn't hurting anything. And then someone copied that one and then added something in it. And next thing you know, you have maybe like a DOM element that's got 600 attributes and one of them matters, and you're trying to find that needle in the haystack. And then the thing is you're a bit paralyzed from being able to remove the unneeded ones, because are they unneeded? Do you really know? Like, you don't really know until you removed it and then it breaks or whatever someplace. Um, so I feel like that was a really, really good catch on Cypress. Now, I would have thought, since it only caught itself, something for itself, but like in a real environment, I mean, not a real environment, but in a enterprise environment, you're going to have all kinds of different organizations that want to get some sort of information out of the websites, or you could. And, if that happens, then, and you have something that's misleading, that is a bad idea. I mean, that makes things a lot harder for your fellow developers. All right, so I think we know that we need an 008, and it's going to be like for update. And right now, all it will know how to do is open this, add one, go into tabular view, and click update, and then make sure that you're still at the same route. Make sure that you're in the new route, I guess, would be the best way to kind of test what we have so far, which isn't that much. But anyway, so this is something that I've done 8 times now. So I think what we want to do is we want to close this. And then we want to come over here. Oh no, we did want to be in here. At least I'm remembering now. See, here we can say new spec. It's the strangest place in the world to me to actually create a new thing, and I think I can manually do it, but I'm going to use their tool. Create a new spec. And this is going to be 008 update. No, edit. And then create the spec, and I believe it'll take me to the Cypress website. And now we have this, and we don't want to go to Cypress, we want to go to here. Edit, and then I'll hit save. I'll watch it go here. 8:33. My phone is going crazy. I'm probably just them, tossing. Oh my gosh, she's so pretty. Let's see. I don't know if you can see. Oh, there's the baby. There's my granddaughter. She's so beautiful. Good times. Good times. This is what it's all about, everybody. All right. So, I guess delete probably whatever happens over at delete. Again, right now I'm no expert in um, in Cypress. I do not, it's particularly, especially Cypress in the enterprise. I have no idea. I have no experience points in like how you implement Cypress in the wild. And I know like if there was like a recruiter, they'd be like, "Ah, don't say that. We're we're we told them we are gonna find a Cypress expert, and that's you." And it's like, man, that makes their life a lot easier when you claim to be something you're not, but it does not make your life easier. Um, all right, so it did open that as expected, and then we do not care about that. Do we want to click? I think we only want to click this once, right? Yeah, we only want to click it once. So let's see what happens. We're going to change that to one time though. Okay, and then we want to go to the other view. So now we're just going to look here. So we know we want to click the body. Yeah, that closes the menu. Oh, and then, oh, that's nice. All right, so now we're going to open this. Now, would it be better to just be calling, since I'm doing this stuff over and over again, would it be better to just be calling some function that does it? I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know how well like the type ahead works, like if it would be able to find these functions. Yeah, I just don't know. Okay, so now we want, instead of getting the delete, we want the edit. I believe it is called an edit. I think we called it edit. Expected viz count is going to be I believe it's edit. I cannot remember. And like this, I don't know if this is a good idea. I really don't. I'm just trying to learn. And that, like, because sometimes when I'm doing stuff, I'm like telling you, hey, I think this is the best way to do that, blah, 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 blah. But a lot of times, but in this particular situation, I don't really know what the best way to do that. Okay, so what's called update. I don't know if it was if what I'm doing is the right way or not. Like if you've done a lot of end-to-end testing, you may be going, oh my gosh, that is such a huge mistake what you just did, or not having the same having not breaking these down into like my own sort of functions that do a collection of these things. All right. So saying that it did not find update viz button. Get data viz button. So it did get that, it seems like. Oh, I didn't change the number. Apparently I copied it over and did not change this to 1. Because I only expect 1 to be there, not 3. Okay, and then, well, it did not seem to find it. Oh, we don't want the first one, we don't want the second one, we want the very first one. So that's equals 0. And then just want to test that we are at that route. And I'm assuming the routing test has something like that. Okay, location, dot location. And this is kind of like weird because we are kind of, I didn't change anything, did I? I think I just hit copy. Yeah. It is weird because they're kind of testing the router. I mean, it's just like CY location. I think it should be, I bet you this is, I wonder if contain works. Because, you know, I can't compare the whole thing because I don't necessarily know exactly where the, I know in this case it should be the number 1, but what if I change the way that works in the future? All right, so that is that. Looks like everything is good. We got a unit test that captures exactly how we expect everything to work. And then, yeah, that's that. So let's see. All the unit tests are passing. I think everything looks good. I think it would be a good time to do and it's crazy how much faster unit end-to-end tests go than I'm expecting them to go. So I'm just looking for console logs and just basically doing a basic smell test. Just looking for anything that might be out of the ordinary. Not like a deep analysis of, is this the right code? This is, you know. All right. And let's see. Yeah, so we didn't even change 008, which makes sense. 007. So basically we implemented routing and the new. I'm trying to think of how to put this in words. Get status. Okay, so we want to add everything. There's nothing we don't want. And edit routing and component. And git push. Probably would be a little smarter to not push it at that point, you know, like just wait, but just in case I decided I wanted to add something else. But the next thing I want to get done is this guy here. So basically when I'm in update mode, I want to see the little that. And then I guess it doesn't hurt to be able to add a viz. You can't see it, but you know, I mean, I guess if someone wanted to add a viz or change the reflow while they're in here, that is fine. But this should definitely be a single icon of like how this is tabular And then this should probably be one little square because it's looking at one. Um, and then I know that there's like, and then whenever you click it, I think, well, what is, it probably should go to this custom view next when you click it, and it's in that routed mode. And I think there was some very clever, I was so excited. I thought it was just the coolest logic that handles all this stuff, but it's like in a ternary. So now I got to unwind that. And unwinding that would, to me, would be very, very tricky and scary if it wasn't for the end-to-end tests, because I know that the end-to-end tests will test. I might actually, I will likely have that end-to-end test running while I start that implementation, maybe, because it seems like the sooner I find out that I've botched it, the better. But anyways, it's 8:44, so I should probably log off of here, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Happy coding. Bye.